My dear students, Assalamu alaikum. I am Sir Mazhar from Nova CSS Academy, Islamabad, and in this video lesson, I will tell you about the present progressive or present continuous tense. First of all, I will tell you about the structure of the sentence which is related to the present progressive or present continuous tense, and then I will tell you about different uses of this structure of the present progressive or present continuous tense. So far as the structure is concerned, in case of a declarative affirmative sentence, I mean a positive declarative sentence, we first of all use the subject of the sentence. With the subject of the sentence, we use any one of the three auxiliary verbs which are is or am or are, and then we use the full verb in present participle form or ing form of the verb. And you know that sometimes we can also introduce certain other elements after the use of the full verb. Those elements can be one object, sometimes there can be two objects, sometimes there can be an object followed by a complement, and sometimes there can be an object followed by an adverbial. Now, I will tell you about different situations in which we make use of this structure of the present continuous or present progressive tense. You know that in my class lectures, I always tell you about these different situations as different cases in which we make use of the present continuous or past continuous or present perfect or any tense. So, situation number one or case number one in which we make use of the structure of the present progressive or present continuous tense is when we are talking about an action which started somewhere in the past and it is still going on, it is still in progress, it is still in continuation at the time of speaking about it, and it will get completed after the time of speaking. One example can be कुछ लोग मस्जिद में कुरान पाक की तिलावत कर रहे हैं. Its translation in present continuous tense will be some people are reciting the Holy Quran in the mosque. Another example can be बच्चे पार्क में क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं. First of all, you should understand that at the time of speaking means when we utter this sentence, exactly at the same time, the children are actually playing in the park. So we translate this sentence, बच्चे पार्क में क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं, in English language as the children are playing in the park. Similarly, if there is another sentence in Urdu language as वो इस वक्त खाना पका रही है, its English translation would be she is preparing the meal. Similarly, one more example can be मेरे दोस्त पाकिस्तान और इंडिया के दरमियान क्रिकेट का मैच देख रहे हैं. At the time of speaking, they are actually sitting in front of the TV screen and they are watching the match on the TV. Then I will translate this sentence as my friends are watching the cricket match between Pakistan and India. I will give you some more examples now on your screen. The first sentence in Urdu language is आप मेरा lecture सुन रहे हैं. Concentrate on this sentence and you will understand that when we utter these words at the same time, the people are actually listening to the lecture. So the action of listening to the lecture started somewhere in the past and you are still listening to my lecture and my lecture is still halfway. And it means that when I talk about this listening of the lecture, at the same time, the lecture is going on. So we are in the middle of the action, and at the time of speaking, the action is still in progress. The action is in continuation. The action is going on. So after understanding that this situation or this Urdu sentence is related to the present continuous tense or present progressive tense, we can make its correct translation in English language using the structure of the present progressive tense. So the English translation of this sentence will be, you are listening to my lecture. Similarly, another sentence in Urdu language can be, वो अपने दांत साफ कर रहा है. When I utter these words as a speaker of this sentence, the person who is cleaning his teeth is right now in the middle of the action of cleaning the teeth. He started cleaning the teeth before I talked about this action. And when I talk about this action, his action of cleaning the teeth is still going on, and he will be able to get done with the cleaning of the teeth sometime after my time of speaking. So if we understand all these conditions and we relate this sentence with present continuous tense, we can make its translation in English language using the structure of the sentence of present continuous tense in English language, which will be he is cleaning his teeth. Similarly, our third sentence can be लकड़हारा एक दरख्त काट रहा है. Again, the same thing. When I say these words, at that time, the woodcutter, Lakkadhara, is busy with his work of felling the tree. His action of getting done with felling the tree will get completed after my time of speaking, after when I say and utter this sentence. So if we understand that this situation belongs to present continuous tense, we can make its translation in English language as the woodcutter is felling a tree. And the last sentence as an example to make you understand the use of this case of present continuous tense can be पुलिस चोर का पीछा कर रही है. Again, when I utter these words at the same time, the police are running after the thief and the thief is running in front of the police. That's why we relate this sentence to present continuous tense, and using the structure of the present continuous tense in English language, as I explained earlier, we can translate this sentence into English language as the police are chasing the thief. Now I will tell you about another use of the present progressive or present continuous tense. In this case or in this situation, we are actually not talking about an action which started in the past and it is continuing or in progress or going on at the time of speaking and it will get completed after the time of speaking. No, this was all about case number one. Now I am talking about an action which is actually a habitual action. It is not a single action. A habitual action, you know, is done many times, is done repeatedly, is done as a habit. Now in this case, I am talking about a habitual action which is continuing as a habit, which is continuing as a routine. For example, if we say in Urdu language, वो इन दिनों एक कॉलेज में English पढ़ा रही है. In this case, it does not mean that at the time when we utter this sentence, she is also in the classroom and she is teaching English at the college. No, not at all. Maybe she is at this time taking exercise. I'm talking about physical exercise. She is not at the college at all at the time when we utter this sentence. In this case, we mean that these days she is doing the job of teaching English at a college, but at the time when we utter this sentence, she may be sleeping. She is not doing that action of teaching exactly at that time when we utter this sentence. I hope you understand. So the translation of this situation or this sentence in English language will be, she is teaching English at a college these days. Similarly, there may be another example that मैं आजकल Nova CSS Academy में पढ़ रही हूँ. And its English translation will be, I am studying at Nova CSS Academy these days. Now I will give you some more examples on your screen. So here is the first sentence in Urdu language. I read it for you. वो आजकल CSS के इम्तिहान की तैयारी कर रही है. Now look at this sentence and try to understand that in this case, we are not talking about one single action which is going on at the time of speaking. Rather, we are talking about an action which is performed by her some time of the day and then she does not do this action at some other time of the day. She also takes some rest. She also goes to sleep at night. Then the other day, she once again does this action of preparing for the examination. Then she again stops this work. So in this case, we are actually talking about a series of actions, a habitual action, a routine which is going on at the time of speaking. That's why we relate this sentence or situation with the conditions of present continuous tense, and we choose the structure of the present continuous tense to translate this sentence in English language. That's why its English translation will be, She is preparing for the CSS exam these days. Now look at the second sentence, which I read for you as तुम्हारा भाई एक बैंक में काम कर रहा है. Again, you can understand that तुम्हारा भाई goes to the bank, stays there for 8 hours, does all the work of the bank, then gets done with his duty, gets back home, takes some rest, also sleeps at night, then the other day once again goes to the bank to perform his duties over there. Again, it is understandable that we are not talking about one single continued action, rather we are talking about a habitual action or a routine or a practice. That's why we also understand that this tense belongs to present continuous tense, and that's why we translate this sentence in English language as your brother is working in a bank. Now look at the third sentence, which is आजकल लोग धड़ाधड़ सोलर पैनल लगा रहे हैं. Again, in this sentence, we are not talking about one person who is doing one action which is continuing at the time of speaking. Rather, we are talking about so many different people who may be installing solar panels at different times on different days. We are not talking about one single action that is going on at the time of speaking. Rather, we are talking about a trend, about a series of actions which is going on as a trend at the time of speaking. So we understand that in this situation we apply the structure of the present continuous tense, and that is why we translate this sentence in English language as these days people are installing solar panels rampantly. Now last sentence in Urdu language is उसकी बीवी कार चलाना सीख रही है. Again, you can understand that the subject does learn how to drive a car for some time of the day, then she does not do this action anymore. She performs other duties of the life on daily basis. Then the next day she again takes some time to learn how to drive car, and then she again stops doing this work for that day, and it continues in this form for many days. But this series of action, this habitual action, this practice is going on at the time of speaking. That is why we translate this sentence by using the concept or structure of the present continuous tense. So the translation for this Urdu sentence in English language will be, his wife is learning how to drive a car. And now I tell you about another case in which we make use of the structure of the present continuous or present progressive tense. In this case, which can be called case number 3, I will tell you that sometimes we make use of the structure of the present continuous tense while referring to an action that actually belongs to the future. I give you an example in Urdu language like this sentence, मैं कल अपनी कार बेचने लगा हूँ या मैं कल अपनी कार बेचने जा रहा हूँ. Now you understand that in this case the action actually belongs to the future. However, sometimes we make use of the structure of the present continuous tense to refer to this sentence, and the translation of this sentence can be either I am selling my car tomorrow, or sometimes it can be modified as I am going to sell my car tomorrow. Now my dear students, try to understand that there is a difference between saying I will sell my car tomorrow and I am going to sell my car tomorrow. When I say I will sell my car tomorrow, it shows only my intention to sell my car tomorrow. But when I say I am going to sell my car tomorrow or I am selling my car tomorrow, it does not show merely my intention to sell my car tomorrow. Rather, it shows about the execution of the action. The planning to sell the car tomorrow has already been finalized. Now I am going to execute this action tomorrow. So that's why in such conditions we also make use of the structure of the present continuous tense. Also keep one more thing in your mind, that in order to refer to such a situations, sometimes we use the same structure of the present continuous tense, which I have already told you, that is subject followed by is or am or are followed by the present participle form of the verb, or sometimes instead of using is or am or are followed by the present participle form of the verb, we use is going to or am going to or are going to followed by the infinitive verb. Like I am going to sell my car tomorrow. Sell in this case is not the present participle form of the verb. It is the infinitive verb or the root form of the verb. Let us take a few more examples. The first Urdu sentence that belongs to this particular tense is पुलिस करप्ट सियासतदानों को गिरफ्तार करने लगी है या पुलिस करप्ट सियासतदानों को गिरफ्तार करने जा रही है. Those people who are very well familiar with Urdu language can understand that there is no difference between these two different types of Urdu sentences. Their concept is the same. In this case, the police are going to execute their action of arresting the corrupt politicians. So, we use the structure of present continuous tense in this sentence as the police are going to arrest corrupt politicians. Another sentence in Urdu language belonging to this case can be मैं अगले हफ्ते अपना घर बेचने लगी हूँ. Again, in this sentence, we can also alternatively use another Urdu version as मैं अगले हफ्ते अपना घर बेचने जा रही हूँ. The English translation of this sentence once again will be like I am selling my house the coming week. A third example of Urdu sentence belonging to this case can be हुकूमत स्टील मिल्स को बंद करने लगी है. Once again, the government is going to execute this action after all the deliberations have been done. So we are not talking about any intention. We are talking about an execution of the action that belongs to the future. So we understand that in such cases, we will make use of the structure of the present continuous tense, and thus translation for this type of sentence will be the government is going to shut down the steel mills. One last sentence belonging to this particular case can be अमेरिका शुमाली कोरिया पर हमला करने लगा है. The same case and its translation in English language can be America is going to attack North Korea. And now case number 4, in which we make use of the structure of the present continuous tense. In this case, I will tell you about an action which actually got completed in the past, but after it got completed in the past, it is now viewed as a state which is going on at the time of speaking. The action itself did not start in the past and it is not going on before getting completed at the time of speaking. Rather, it got completed before the time of speaking. But when it got completed, it is now viewed as a state which is going on at the time of speaking. I can give you one example. मैंने एक स्याह लिबास पहना हुआ है. My action of wearing the black dress actually got completed in the past. Right now, I am not trying to wear the dress. I completed my action of wearing the dress in the past, but right now I am clad in a black dress and this is my state at the time of speaking. That's why I will translate this Urdu sentence मैंने एक स्याह लिबास पहना हुआ है by using the structure of the present continuous tense in English language, and its translation would become I am wearing a black dress. Now I give you some more examples of sentences belonging to this case or this situation. Sentence number 1 in Urdu language is Professor Sahab अपने दफ्तर में बैठे हुए हैं. Now in this case, the professor has already taken his seat in his office, and now this sitting in the office is going on as a temporary state at the time of speaking. That's why we use the structure of present continuous tense to refer to this action or this state. This is basically an action that got completed before the time of speaking, and as it got completed, it is viewed as a state now, and that state is temporarily going on at the time of speaking. So we translate such a sentence or any sentence belonging to this situation by using the structure of the present continuous tense in English language. That is why the translation for this sentence will be the professor is sitting in his office. The next sentence in Urdu language can be उसने स्याह लिबास पहना हुआ है. Again, I can explain that this action of wearing the dress got completed in the past. But right now, at the time of speaking, this action turned into a state is persisting. It is going on at the time of speaking. Therefore, the translation of this sentence can be made in English language by using the structure of the present continuous tense, which is she is wearing a black dress. One more sentence can be तुम्हें बुखार हुआ है. Now the person is already suffering from fever. He is already in fever or she is already in fever. Once again, we translate such a sentence using the concept or structure of the present continuous tense, which is you are suffering from fever. The last example can be this Urdu sentence as तुम्हारी किताब मेज पर पड़ी हुई है. This is not the permanent state of the book or permanent position of the book. Somebody put the book on the table, and right now that action which is now viewed as a state of the book is temporarily going on at the time of speaking. That's why we use the structure of the present continuous tense to refer to sentences which belong to such situations. Therefore, the translation of this last Urdu sentence will be your book is lying on the table. And now another case in which we make use of the structure of the present continuous tense. In this case, we are actually talking about a habitual action, not a single action. And this habitual action is done on a particular time as a habit on many different regular occasions. For example, if we say in Urdu language, 9 बजे तो हम सो रहे होते हैं. In this case, we are talking about a habitual action which is not done only once, it is done as a habit and it is usually in progress at a particular time on regular basis. Here are some more examples of this case. So, here is the first Urdu sentence which I read for you. 9 बजे तो हम अमूमन सो रहे होते हैं. This means that when it turns 9 o'clock, we are already asleep. And by the 9 o'clock, we are continuing in this state. So in this case, we will once again make use of the structure of the present continuous tense, and the translation for this sentence will become, we are usually sleeping at 9 o'clock. Alternatively, we can also say that we are usually asleep at 9 o'clock, but one way of translating this sentence in English language is when we make use of the structure of the present continuous tense. Another example of such a sentence in Urdu language can be 7 बजे हम अमूमन खाना खा रहे होते हैं. The translation of this sentence in English language will be, we are usually eating the meal at 7 o'clock. In this case, we do not find any alternative as we found in sentence number 1. So, we have to understand the use of present continuous tense for such situations and such actions. Let us consider another sentence in Urdu language, which is, वो सुबह के वक्त अपने दफ्तर में ऊँग रहा होता है. This sentence also belongs to the same case, so its translation can be, he is often dozing in his office in the morning. And one last example of an Urdu sentence belonging to this case can be, मैं हमेशा 2 बजे तुम्हारा इंतज़ार कर रहा होता हूँ. Its English translation will become, I am always waiting for you at 2 o'clock. My dear students, I am very much sure and hopeful that this video lecture would have given you a great deal of help to understand the structure and different uses of the present continuous tense. I hope that with some more practice of the use of present continuous tense in different situations at home will make you develop command on the use of present continuous tense. Now you can also collect certain assignments and exercises from the academy as you used to do when I was giving you these lectures in physical classes. Thank you very much for watching this video. Allah Hafiz.